Right. Right.
No. I'm sorry.
It's okay, man. All right. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to yet another episode of Gentleman Masterclass. This time we are going to be doing the review of No Time to Die, and this is going to be the spoilery review, as we prior did the non-spoiler review, but I think that this is the one that you guys want to see. We've already did the actual review a night before, and we did it inside the next room. You guys have to forgive the audio issues on that. We're going to show you that here momentarily, but there was some more thoughts that he had after the fact, after one day had transpired, and he's getting ready to give his thoughts and ask some more questions that we had left out of that previous video, so we're going to get into that. Here we go. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Gentleman Masterclass. I'm your host, Marc.antomattei, and I'm joined with my best friend, David Gregory. We're both Bond fanatics. This is unbelievably, after knowing this guy for, I don't know, 12, 13 years, this is our first time to actually see a Bond movie in the cinema together. But, I mean, we've saw plenty of Blu-rays just back-to-back before, so nothing new. We're getting ready to talk about No Time to Die. We did the non-spoiler review for those that want it, but this is the spoiler review, and we're going to spoil the hell out of this. We're going to leave no stone unturned, and this is everything. This is everything all out on the table. And I did say that for the last video, but it's okay. It's okay. All right. So let's see. I took a few notes, but, you know, I didn't want to be pecking out notes on my phone the whole time, so I didn't get everything.
You took notes during the movie?
I mean, very quickly. For as many notes that I took, no, I just wrote like keywords.
That's why you missed so much.
No, that's not the reason. It's not the reason. I just wrote titles and keywords, and when I look at it, then it'll help me recollect what it was that I seen. But for as many things that I've written down, there was that many things that I didn't have time to take the notes for, and I didn't want to just keep pulling my phone out all the time. But, wow, the beginning of the movie, the way it starts off, the barrel sequence. I'm going to let you take this one. I'm just going to call it out, the barrel sequence. Well, okay, even before that, the poster. You called to attention the poster.
You took a picture of the poster.
I did take a picture of the poster. I'm gonna put it up on the screen right.
Put it up
now.
You can put it up there. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll see it.
Put it up before you start the video, right?
You can do that too.
Yeah, because you see that because to start before even live action. Okay, the poster. We were in the theater at the cinema, and I said, "Mark, something's missing from the poster. What is it?"
I couldn't.
In every poster. James Bond poster movie.
I couldn't think of it at first. I was just naming off stuff.
Something's missing.
I said his back is turned, and he's like, "Yeah, it is turned, but that's not it. That's not it.
That's not it. It
right.
Might be significant, but that's not it."
Finally, after some tries, I said he doesn't have a gun in his hand.
Mark, ping pong. You got it. He doesn't have a gun in his hand. We didn't know why.
Right.
So there was something different with that. We don't understand why.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Just go ahead. Say why.
Well, then the gun. I can say the why here.
Yeah, you can say the why.
What we learned in the movie, he starts off retired. Why? I say why? Where is he at in his career when this movie starts, Mark? And it took you a while to figure it out, guess, but he's retired.
He's retired. Yeah.
Okay, so he doesn't have a gun anymore.
Right.
Okay. The gun barrel right away. There's something missing. That was probably my first thumbs up. Tell them what I did do in the movie.
Oh, so I got to mention that. Anytime that he was excited, especially after the opening credit, the pre-credit sequence, there was so much action inside of that. It was heart-pounding. I heard this guy breathing, and every time that there was a callback or a reference to a previous Bond movie and or book, which there's many references to books inside of here, he would always point at the screen, one finger, two fingers, or he'll give two thumbs up, one thumb up. Because he couldn't talk throughout the movie, but he gave me signals throughout the entirety of it. And he did this. He's doing this number like about 30 times come the end of the movie.
Not shooting a pistol, but
Not
just
shooting a
pointing
pistol,
out
yeah.
like that was.
Yeah. Hey, I remember that. Yeah.
That was that was good. That was
And that was good.
The way they did it was really well done. Okay, I did a lot. I don't do that. I've never done that in movies before. Never. But there was a lot of references to previous,
right?
Good references to, well-done references to previous Bond movies and stuff in the books that many people probably don't know about.
But we still got to do the barrel sequence.
The gun barrel.
We built it up.
There was something missing in the gun barrel.
He walked. You know, he walked as usual, and he shot. And then what happened?
He shot.
He pulled the trigger, and then but what is expected to happen?
Usually, you see blood flowing down.
You see blood flowing down the
screen. That never made sense to me. How does the blood flow into the gun barrel?
Yes.
Oh, maybe you shot the assassin, but how does the blood flow in over the front of the gun barrel? That never made sense. Now it does. Because there's no blood.
There's no blood.
They took care of that problem.
So this is the first time that they ever did that.
Right.
Right.
Right. Then
wait a minute. And then there's something at the end of the movie that comes back to the beginning of the movie. Oh, we're going to jump ahead just a little bit here. This is, you know, he's decimating henchmen at the end of the movie. You know, it's the climax of the movie. He's trying to get to the goal on time, and he's shooting guys, and there's a guy inside the hallway.
Well, before that, he's in the complex.
He's in a complex,
and
right?
He shot guys. You see who he's shooting.
You see who he's
shooting at him. You usually see the target or the rival or something.
You see the guy coming up and he gets shot, or
after he's shot,
or he shoots him and then he walks over the body, so you see the guy that he shot.
So there was one mysterious sequence when he shot somebody, and you didn't see who he shot.
Yes.
I wonder what's with that.
But the way that he shot him, it was the gun barrel sequence come to life in film.
Right. The set was actually a rounded tunnel.
Yes, it was a rounded tunnel.
Curves on each side, so it looked like a gun barrel.
It was not a stylistic thing like the opening, which is standard on every movie. This was part of the movie where he killed a villain that way. But he did do that. He did that in another movie. He did that at the beginning of Casino Royale.
Casino Royale, they handled it really well.
Yes.
The first gun barrel, they did it really well.
Right.
Right. So,
but this was even better than that.
This was
right.
This was actually inside the movie, not to start the movie when you expected it happened in the movie. And you didn't even pick up on it until I mentioned it to you outside after the theater outside. The set was round. They only showed the viewpoint of a villain. There's not a gun barrel, but actually the viewpoint of a villain. The villain gets shot. Bond walks across the screen, turns and shoots him with a pistol.
Right.
He repeats what he did in the opening gun barrel.
So there's two gun
two
barrel
references
sequences
to that. Really well handled. And they didn't dwell on it too long. It came and went very fast. And I wondered, why did they not show the guy? That's why they're referencing the gun barrel. Okay?
Right. Next, we start off the pre-credit sequence. At the very beginning, we're introduced to the main villain, and we're introduced to Bond's love interest as a child. And this assassin is...
Not as a child.
His love interest. We see her as a child.
Yeah. Okay,
she's in the house.
Okay, so it was years ago, right?
Right. Yeah, this was...
Okay, it turned out to be a long time ago. Okay.
So the villain wanted revenge for something that was done to him, and he was coming... His family was killed by Agent Suspector, so he was coming to even the score and to get some... What is the R word that I'm looking for?
Revenge, but...
Yeah, revenge. There's a good word that I was looking for, even better than revenge.
Retribution.
Retribution, that's the word of the day. He wanted some retribution, so he was coming back to kill this Spectre agent's whole family just to get at this guy.
Which, Mark, this brings up something that probably should have been in the non-spoiler video. But the plot had mysteries to it which you could not figure out easily at the beginning.
Right.
There was stuff, and eventually it all made sense, unlike many other Bond movies.
Yes.
There were mysteries and things hinted at and referenced, which was hard to figure out. So a lot of movie you had to use your brain to sort of figure out what are these connections, and they made sense.
Yes.
So another well-done point about the movie, which should go into the non-spoiler video, is that the way they develop the intricacies of the plot without giving stuff away too easily.
Okay.
That was well done. The credit to the writers again.
Yeah, definitely big time credit to them.
Okay.
So after we get that blast to the past sequence, and it updates to cuts right to the future, to the present time. No, it's still past.
It's
actually still past 5 years ago.
Not so long past. Right.
But Bond, it already starts out where Bond is in a relationship, and the girl that he's with, she's in prior movies, or she's at least in one prior movie. But yeah, they're already in a relationship. This is not like just a dolly like Sylvia that's in some of the Sean Connery movies where, you know, he's just romancing her and then he gets rid of her after the credit sequence is over with.
Right.
Yeah, so she's kind of with him throughout the whole movie. Yeah,
But he started the movie being in a relationship with her. They didn't say how he got into that, which is a little bit of a mystery.
Yes.
Because she had such a big part to play later in the movie.
Yes, that's right.
You got to think about it later.
Right.
But at that point, he was already deep in with her, and it was a serious relationship, and it was well handled, like two adults.
Yes.
It was believable. Yeah.
Right. And
it wasn't a fling. It wasn't a fling.
And the opening action sequence, well, I mean, it was edge of your seat. Man, that car, that DB5, man, he had all the bells and whistles on there, and when these miniguns came out of his headlights and he just started spraying guys, oh man, I mean, my heart just fell through the floor in a good way. Like I was just edge of my seat. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, those villains in the beginning, that was Spectre, right? That was coming after him. I believe it was. Those were Spectre agents, and
that's we got to figure it out. I'm not clear on. Well, yeah, Spectre, right? Because Blofeld was alive, and he still controlled Spectre.
He still controlled him from the inside, so he sent some guys after Bond to get.
He's still trying to kill Bond.
Right. So
still, probably those are Spectre guys, right?
Yeah, to say the least. Well, the action sequence was good. If you have any thoughts about that.
You're talking about the front?
The front.
Fine. Nothing outrageous. I wasn't happy the way Quantum of Solace started with the gun battle and chase and the flying around in the Italian cathedral or whatever with the ropes and stuff. But this was all fine. It was top notch.
Right.
It was top notch. And I thought they're going to go right into the movie, no opening titles.
I knew that they were going opening titles because
thought we were into the movie by then.
24 movies that they'd done it. I didn't think that they were going to do away with it. So I was expecting it. Right.
And he broke up with her. He put her on a train and.
This is right before
the relationship was really well done between them, and he was really pissed off at her that she betrayed him, and.
Or at least so he thought.
Reminiscent of Vesper Lynn.
Yeah,
betraying him.
He felt like it happened to him again, like he was done at this point in time. Yeah,
and that's why he ends up retiring and going living alone because he can't handle being. You know, he had even admitted it really well at one point that he has bad judgment. He gets caught by a pretty face.
Yes,
he admits his vulnerabilities.
Yes,
you know, Roger Moore never did that.
Right. Oh, that guy was Superman. I
think Connery. Showed vulnerability.
Yes.
And Brosnan and Dalton did, and even George Lazenby did. They all did. Roger Moore never showed vulnerability.
Right.
And even emotional vulnerability, which Bond does here really well. All
right, so now we get to the opening credits. First thing you see, there's a callback to Dr. No.
Sure.
Just
beep, 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 beep. That soundtrack with there's balls.
With the colored balls. It was the same.
Same opening. That was before they did opening sequences.
Yes.
Before the pre-credits started.
Yes.
That movie just started with the balls crossing the screen.
Right.
Right. And so, okay.
And what other... Everybody knows what an Easter egg is. What other Easter eggs were inside of that title sequence, the credit sequence? Because you saw other things inside of there.
Oh, I saw the hourglass, which you see in the Under Majesty's Secret Service opening, which is all about time running out.
Yes.
And actually, they referenced the movie to that, the music to that movie in the Italy sequence at the front.
Yes.
So they planted that there as a little bit of music they put in there
Right.
as sort of a hint of what was coming later.
Right.
The opening music, the opening title sequence.
Was there anything else inside there? I remember the
Yeah,
Dr. No Balls, and then there was the Hourglass.
Hourglass.
There could have been other things in there as well.
But all the stuff wasn't super obvious. It was all very subtle.
It was subtle. No time to. Yeah, there's probably little subtleties that I missed.
As we've said in the other video, that this movie bears watching again.
Right.
Bears repeated watchings.
Soon, like, don't wait for it to come out on video. Like, I got to go to the theater and see it again. That's
Yeah, but I can't see it soon. Like, I've got to recover a bit first.
Right.
I can't see it too soon.
Right. Right.
But yeah, okay. So you watch it again to see some of those things. There's probably other ones in there.
Wow.
But those were actually they were done better in this one than they were in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. The opening titles there had all these. They actually used. They had filmed episodes from the previous Bond movies to link him to those, and they showed little scenes in the opening title. And they didn't do that this time. They did it much better.
Right.
They topped that with this one.
Man, what happened? What happened after the opening credits? I'm trying to think.
Then 5 years later in London.
Yeah, it went 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Later.
Then you get right back into action with these guys are invading the. You get right to the story. They're going.
Oh, they're.
Well, they said it wasn't clear. It was London or?
That was in London. That was.
Wait,
they showed London. They showed London.
Yeah, was it London? But they showed a pyramid. Oh, okay, it had to be London.
It was London.
But they showed a pyramid which looked like San Francisco. Maybe
no,
it was a building like that.
Don't confuse it. Don't confuse it.
Okay, that was London. Okay, these guys break into the secret lab
and they steal a new chemical weapon called Hercules. That was the name of it.
Yeah, and they cleverly get the doctor out.
Right. This is one of those weapons that we haven't seen inside of a previous James Bond film, inside of another form of media. If you guys ever played that game, Metal Gear Solid 4.
Actually have. Under Majesty's Secret Service, there was chemical warfare. He was going.
Oh, there was chemical warfare, but there wasn't a chemical weapon like this. This is a type of weapon that it would infect somebody, and it would go into their DNA, but they can't get it out of their system. There's no cure. And when they come in contact with select people with the right code to their DNA, these people would just get automatically sick and die if they were to meet or make contact.
This is 2020-21 now.
Right.
We've
got smart weapons. That's exactly
right. Called smart weapon targeting with people like that.
Yes.
Now that's the way.
Gene targeting.
The COVID vaccines are built on this kind of idea. It's not too far off from that. What they're talking about. It's not just a gas where they gas people.
Right.
An external weapon. These are actually internal weapons. Right. But that all seemed to make sense when they were explaining that in the laboratory. These microbots go into the body. It kind of all made sense. It was pretty deep science there, but it all made sense.
Man, now I'm starting to get a little bit confused. So these agents, these villainary agents that went inside it and stole all that stuff, they were Spectre, or they were working for the main villain that was anti-Spectre?
The anti-Spectre guy.
Yes. Rami Malek's character. Forgive me, I don't even remember the character's name himself. I just remember the actor.
It's like it was a take on Lucifer, the devil's
Lucifer,
name.
right.
It was kind of like that, spelled a different way.
Right.
Okay, he's the devil. Okay.
Right.
Right.
So were these his agents that were stealing this compound, this chemical compound? Man, it gets...
Well, it gets a little bit hairy.
It gets hairy, yeah.
Remember what the professor, or not, the scientist actually switched something.
Yes.
So I think Spectre thought he was getting that. So I think that was Spectre stealing that stuff. It was Spectre stealing that stuff, but then they showed him switching the USB stick at one point to weaponize something.
So it turned out that this doctor that they were stealing him along with the chemical weapon. This doctor was a double villain.
Yeah, a double villain, actually working for
an
Lucifer guy who was anti-Spectre.
Right.
Going after Spectre. It wasn't clear why they. Oh yeah, he had to go after Spectre because Spectre killed his parents. Right.
Right.
So that tied together well.
Yes.
He was trying to get Blofeld, and he actually did get Blofeld in the end. He got his revenge.
He got him. Yeah.
On actually through the hands of Bond, which is what you call a callback, Easter egg or whatever to the You Only Live Twice book.
Right.
Where Bond strangles Blofeld.
Right.
We're giving away everything now. But that was in the book.
Bond all right, we'll get to that point in time.
But he got Bond
soon.
to kill. Yeah, actually,
we'll get to that point soon.
He was able to get Bond to kill Blofeld.
All right. Yeah. No, don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead. So
right, that happened.
The next introduction to Bond. So it's 5 years after that opening sequence.
The guy steals this.
Bond is already All right. So they stole that doctor that knew how to make the compound and that was keeping it. And then once we get to Bond again. At this point in time, he was in Jamaica, or was he in Cuba? He wasn't in Cuba already. He was in Jamaica, retired.
Oh, that was Jamaica he was retired? Okay, well, that's where Fleming had his house. So that's
where Fleming had his house,
That's another throwback, okay.
Right.
Right, all right.
He was just living life, just shooting the shit,
well,
doing nothing, really.
That's where Fleming retired, so that ties into that. You know, that also makes me think, this is something that can go into the non-spoiler video, but Mark, there might be plot inconsistencies in this movie.
Yeah.
But it's hard to see them when you're watching it the first time. You might pick them up later, but you really couldn't jump. Nothing jumped out at you.
Nothing that's obvious. There's nothing that I can think of top of
like
head.
There were in many other Bond movies.
Yes.
Plot inconsistencies.
Right.
We might be able to find those things later, but it wasn't obvious during the first watch.
Felix comes out to recruit Bond on a personal mission because he needs his help for whatever reason. Oh, because he's aware that the Hercules chemical virus has been stolen out of his laboratory.
That's why I thought it was San Francisco, because they showed the Transamerica Tower. I thought that the laboratory was actually in San Francisco.
No, there's a pyramid in London as well.
That looks like that building.
But I mean, CIA so close. I mean, that's just right across the water to hop on a flight to Jamaica. Yeah,
he knew that this thing was up in the air. So okay,
he needed Bond's help. I don't know why he needed Bond's help. I mean, but he did. All right, so he goes back to recruit his friend. He had
He's asked him for help before.
He asked him for help before.
Not new.
And he went to recruit Bond along with the second guy, also from the CIA, a guy that was kind of green, and I guess Felix Leiter was showing this guy the ropes, and all right. So it was two coming to recruit one, and it turns out that guy was a double agent. That not too soon after they introduced the character.
Logan Ash.
Yeah, Logan Ash.
Bond didn't like him from the beginning.
Right. He got his.
He had a sense about him.
Right. Yeah, that guy was phony. Man, yeah, so much had happened in such a short span of time that, man, I feel like I'm just jumping over stuff and I'm losing things here. Well, and not long after this, Bond gets introduced to the new 007, which is his replacement that has been working in the field for as long as Bond has been gone, because they have to replace him with somebody.
Reminiscent of
it's a British, it's a black British Jamaican woman.
She's down in Jamaica, but
she's down. But I mean, ethnically she is Jamaican, but she's British as well.
Okay.
So she took his place, and she's pretty tough, right?
Yeah, she proved her chops in this Cuban battle. And
there was so it jumped from Jamaica to Cuba so fast.
That wasn't that far, though. Of course, it's not geographically. It's not far away.
It's not
even
far
that
away.
made sense,
right?
Even that made sense that he doesn't have to go very far to go help his friend Felix.
Yeah, things get muddy, and I almost feel like I don't even want to talk about it because I know I'm going to mess something up so bad.
We just had the first watch, okay? And
yeah, we just had the first watch.
And we're remembering pretty well for one watch.
Okay, let's skip ahead to something that we can remember. There was some action sequences here and there.
But even at this point, Mark, it all still was making sense that this scientist had been abducted. He had this this sort of biological weapon.
Why were these villains sent to Cuba?
Well, it turned out there was a Spectre conference down there.
There was a Spectre conference,
that Blofeld was running.
Yes.
And it sounds like he had inside information on Blofeld probably from he's got a double agent there who turned out to be the guy with the weird eye.
Yes.
Cyclops. Bond has said he's run into him before. So he had a double agent.
Bond had infiltrated this mission, had infiltrated this Spectre conference as an agent of Felix Leiter, personally.
Right, but, well, he was being tipped off about this probably by Logan Ash.
Yes.
We're not sure how Felix Leiter knew that their Spectre conference was down there, but he knew about it.
At the end of this conference, as Bond is walking around, Bond gets outed by some of the Spectre agents. The entirety of the floor, everybody on the floor, they turn around and they look at this guy. It's all eyes on him. What had transpired, had not transpired, Bond would have been dead in a second. There was probably like 50 agents in that room. All
the Spectre guys.
Yeah, all eyes on him.
Now we know why they didn't kill Bond.
Well,
why didn't they die?
Well, they died.
yeah, but why did Bond not die?
He was he already infected with the, somebody was in...
I don't think so, but... I don't think so.
The virus, that Hercules virus had went off somehow, and I can't even remember how. It was in the sprinkler system of the facilities.
Yeah, but they said, Bond, you won't be affected by this.
Because it's gene targeting, if I didn't already mention that before.
His gene is not in there, but there was a reason why why Lucifer left Bond alive.
Well, tell him why he left Bond alive. I could tell him why everybody else died.
Yeah, we know that part.
Right.
The guy was getting rid of all the Spectre people. He was getting his revenge on Spectre.
Yes.
Spectre killed his family.
You're right.
But why did he leave Bond alive? You've got to try to answer this. This is the test, man. He was able to kill everybody else off, but there was still one person left alive in Spectre after the party was wiped out.
Blofeld.
Right.
He needed Bond to get close to Blofeld.
There you go.
Right.
So this plot bit makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. He had to leave Bond alive because who else is going to be able to get close to Blofeld?
But like I said before, the way it works, it gets inside of your DNA. It can target people that you come in contact with, but it's gene targeting. He can make this virus kill whoever he wants it to kill.
Something has to trigger it.
Something has to trigger it.
In the party, it was this gas.
It was the gas, right?
Who released the gas? That was that was Cyclops guy.
It was the Cyclops guy.
He got the
right.
He got the gas vial from the scientist, and he put that in something.
Right.
Spread it down there. So okay.
Spectre eradicated like that. They all fry.
That all made sense.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It left Bond alive. He has it already inside of his genes, but it doesn't infect him unless they want it to. They just need him to get close to Blofeld so that...
I'm not sure how he got in his genes at that point.
Because it fell all over him. It was in the sprinkler system. It fell on top of him.
I thought that was the trigger.
That was the trigger, but it was in the sprinklers. Yeah,
but that wasn't the stuff that got into his genes. So.
It got into him, but it didn't affect him because he was not a target. You understand what I'm saying, right? Yeah. He was not targeted to die.
Yeah,
but it was still in his system.
So whatever that was, that's okay.
That's why when he got close to Blofeld and when he touched him, physically touched him by hand, that's how it was transferred from him to Blofeld.
So it wasn't the perfume that was on the girl's hands.
Okay, well, all right, well, there was that too. I'm starting to...
But he didn't touch the girl. They made a point that he didn't touch the girl. He put his hand out.
So that means that
men don't do that. But
right. Okay, so then that means that it was in his system from the sprinkler system.
Right, so even that makes sense. I thought that he had picked up some of the scent that she put on, which is supposed to kill him. Because Raimi was, not Raimi, but Lucifer was trying to get Blofeld through the girl.
Yeah, they're probably wondering what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, well, all right.
We're trying to make it make...
It doesn't make sense. You have to see the movie.
You have to see the movie.
You're not watching this. We hope you don't watching this before you see the movie, okay?
Okay, so all the Spectre agents die. There's still a couple of henchmen out on the street that are working for Lucifer, the anti-Spectre agency that is still trying to kill Bond and Felix. Everybody's trying to make their getaway, and as you think they're getting ready to make their escape out of the country, wait, everybody's on a ship at this point in time. Some agents come and they get Felix. You got to tell them about Felix's death.
This is a CIA ship.
A CIA ship.
I'll jump ahead a second because continue on. We were saying that that Lucifer has got two ways to get into Blofeld. One is through the woman.
Yes.
Who is Madeline.
And Madeline, which is James Bond's love interest. She
doesn't have this.
She doesn't have it inside of her genes.
She spray on this perfume
And she's supposed to touch him and
assassinate.
It's going to transfer.
And the other way it was with Bond, and it turns out they're both going to go in there together on the same day at the same time.
Yes.
Which is just kind of lucky. And he hoped that one of those two would be effective against Blofeld.
Yes.
Blofeld. Okay.
One of them certainly was, yeah.
One worked. So he had a backup plan. Really.
Right.
So this guy's smart. He's a really clever guy.
Blofeld got Bond so triggered inside of prison that Bond started choking him. He came to his senses and realized, like, I can't kill the guy. He let up and he let his hands off the guy's throat, but he had infected him and he died anyways.
And that killing was, actually, that's the way it happened in the book. And in the book, he said, die, Blofeld, die. He said that.
And he choked him. He strangled the guy.
In the movie, he says it too, die. He tells him to die. He tells him to die.
So it's nice that they got things that were inside the novels inside the movie, because we feel like it's all been used up at this point in time and they're not going to go back to any of this stuff.
And they're always saying we're going back to the books for this and that. But what?
But they really don't.
Nothing really comes out of the books except the titles.
But they truly did this time.
They truly did bring some points out.
Right.
So you want to go back on the boat. When he's got the scientist, they kidnapped, or they got the scientist back from this organization.
Yes.
And Felix Leiter was wanting to get the scientist, so they got the scientist out from the party. Right? They fly this boat that's offshore Cuba.
Yes.
Well, CIA can't go into Cuba, but they've infiltrated with. Actually, they didn't infiltrate Cuba. It was the British agents who were in Cuba.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so CIA can't operate in Cuba. Okay, that makes sense.
Man, I'm completely lost at this point in time.
No, they got the scientist out. They
got the scientist out.
He's working for the CIA. He's doing a favor to Felix.
Right.
Leiter.
I'm just saying my notes have all washed up at this point in time. I ran through those. That's it.
Then.
But you mentioned about his death.
First, he says he doesn't want to go. Yeah, we jumped ahead to the Blofeld death. But first, he said he didn't want to. He didn't want to work for Felix. Thank you.
Yes.
Take my number. I've got your number. So he's not going to go back and work for Felix.
Right.
Then he goes back to what happens. He goes back to his house, and what makes him change his mind?
It's because the other 00 had come in contact with him, and
the one they sent another 00.
Yeah, Naomi,
who wants him to contact him, and he realizes there's a big mess. Inspector's back involved, and he's being sucked back into this thing.
Yes.
And M has done something which seems wrong.
Oh yeah, ethically it was wrong. He used a weapon that he was originally the one that
He was trying to develop something.
That was developing the Hercules weapon.
It went bad.
And it went bad. And it was stolen.
Out of his control, right? So Bond.
It was just supposed to target Spectre agents in general. He made that to have an even playing field with the villain, and it backfired because he never knew that it was going to be stolen.
But he met the agent, and he almost thought. There was a pickup. Okay, they're reversing, and she's picking up him. Is that the bedroom? She asked. You thought this is gonna.
Oh yeah,
she
goes back to his little small pad to his house.
She's gonna get
where's the bedroom?
Remember Live and Let Die? Rosie Park. Was it Rosie Parks or the black agent for the CIA?
Yes, yes.
Bond, who turns out she's a double or something. Bond gets her.
Yes.
And you think it's gonna happen like that? No. Great. This is the 2021. That's not gonna happen. He's not going to bed her, okay, even though she says, "Is that the bedroom?" Yeah, anything.
Well, he wanted to bed her. He was going in there to bed her, and then she looked
like it, but
she turns around. She sits down on the bed, and then
which is seductiveness.
Yeah,
he's got that. He also did in the scene when
she seduced him. Yeah,
right,
seductiveness. That was her seducing him.
Yeah, but she didn't. Right. Nothing happened, right?
Nothing happened.
Okay, when putting on the tuxedo in the wine cellar.
Yes,
it's a bit of a seductive scene there. And Craig did it really well.
Right.
As good as Connery would do that.
Right.
So I put him right up there with jumping ahead, matching the Bonds. But right there, he's got the seductiveness. He's got the dialogue, and he's got all the action. So he just became possibly the top Bond. Okay, but he decides to call M.
Yes.
Oh no. He decides to call Felix Leiter. Okay, I'm going to help you. He realizes there's a bit of a mess out here. Spectre's involved or something. Because she said something. Spectre's involved.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so the scientist got it. So she tipped him off. So he said, I'm going to go help Felix. And he got the scientist out, as Felix requested, brought him out to the boat to interrogate him. Now they're on the boat, right?
Yes.
And he's trying to get information out. It's like, how did you know I'd be here and stuff? Which is good. There's a mystery being created here. Some mystery is being created in a Bond movie. That's great.
Yes.
And this guy is piping up a little bit and telling the scientists not to talk, which seems a little bit weird. Right?
Yes.
The Ash character, the green Ash character, and then a bit too much comes out, and then the guy realizes his cover is blown, and he shoots Felix.
Right, he shoots him. I think he shoots the guy like 3 times. He's pretty much he's got a gut wound. He's fatally wounded at this point.
He's not going to survive a gut wound.
Yeah, he's going to bleed out
without immediate attention. Right.
Bond gives him some help. He's like, keep this on the wound. I mean, it's a shot in the dark to keep this guy alive, and maybe he could have potentially done it. He probably could have saved him.
Now, in the Civil War,
right?
In this I'll traffic a little bit, but in the Civil War, if you got shot in the leg or the arm, what would they do?
Cut it off.
Cut it off.
Right.
If you got shot in the gut,
there's nothing you
done.
can do. Right.
Yeah, at that time, they had nothing they could do.
I mean, if he could have got him medical attention in enough time, I don't know.
On a sinking boat, there's no way to send an SOS.
But then the boat started sinking.
There's no way to send an SOS.
Right.
So he wanted to get him out of there, but
he said, Bond, save yourself, man. That was.
He said that.
Yeah.
Okay. And Bond didn't want to let go, and a scene reminiscent of the second Casino Royale, Craig's first one.
Yes. Yes.
He lost his good buddy Felix under the water.
Oh, the girlfriend.
Right, that was
Vesper
Lynn. He lost underwater like that.
Right.
He lost. In another reference back to another good Bond movie, he lost somebody.
So now he lost his best friend underwater. Yeah.
In the same way, and then he went off to save himself.
Right. Oh man, So I think that may have been the first time that I cried.
Yeah, it was getting sad.
I was getting sad.
That character is not going to come back.
Right.
Like, he's been in a couple of these Craig outings, and he's not going to come back. Something is really different about all this.
Yes.
Why did they put that little snippet of "We Have All the Time in the World" in there, when in the pre-credit sequence?
Yes.
They're dropping little clues.
Yes.
That something's going on here.
Right.
Okay, so Bond saves himself, and it's not unbelievable how he saves himself. How does he survive the sinking boat?
I don't even remember, man.
It's nothing it's not unbelievable. He comes up, and there's a life preserver.
There's a life preserver. That's right. Okay.
An inflatable lifeboat floating in the water.
He's trying to navigate his way out of the ship.
Okay, that's
right.
You can believe that.
Right.
Luckily that was there. It's a little inflatable lifeboat.
All right,
he was saved.
We got to move this thing along a little bit.
Right,
what is the next?
Cut out a lot of this later. Okay. So they saved him. Then he goes to London. I think after that he's got to go.
Right.
Okay. He goes in as a visitor.
Yes.
There's a great scene when he checks in and they say, "What's your name, Bond?" James Bond. It
was not a stylistic way how he usually delivers the line,
it was a little bit humorous.
It's humorous.
It was really subtle humor, really well done.
He's like Bond, and the guy didn't recognize him. It was like, Bond, who the hell are you?
Yeah, but
he had to say James.
The way
Bond.
Craig played this, he almost it was like he was laughing a little bit to himself because he knew
he played it with a straight face.
Yeah, he played it with a straight face, but he also knew it used to be humorous the way it used to come out in the older movies. It used to be such a cliche, and this time it's not going to be anymore.
Right.
So Craig played that really well.
So they cleaned that up.
The audience is laughing a bit because they knew that that's what Bond used to say.
Right.
Well, that's how that appears in this movie. So they fixed that up.
Right.
He's not doing this to seduce a girl anymore. He's doing it to get back into his old office.
Yes.
There's a really nice little scene there. Really cleverly done little scene. Give more credits to the writers for putting that in there. Okay, he's a visitor. He goes back in his office. He meets M. He has a fantastic confrontation with M.
Oh, yeah, that was a showdown.
He rips M.
He rips him. Yeah.
You never saw him doing that with the previous M's. They always had conflicts.
The previous M's always dressed Bond down like you're out of your element.
And he would live with it.
Right. Yeah.
But he's not working for M anymore. He's retired.
Right.
So he can say what he thinks.
Yeah, he rips and lets the guy have it. Right.
One thing I liked, they showed.
He's like, you put us all in jeopardy with this damn weapon.
He comes in with a great comment about the desks. Did the desk get bigger or did you get smaller?
Right. And then the way he left the office, he said, no, it's definitely the same desk.
Really well done.
Yeah.
That put down at the end. There was something in the office that goes way, way back to the very first Bond movie, the Dr. No.
There was paintings. Were they paintings or were they just pictures? It doesn't matter.
Painting?
There were paintings of previous M's on the wall.
They came in later.
Judi Dench's. Oh, they came.
Yeah.
That was
came
later.
In later.
Right. All right.
M was reminiscing or thinking about something because he's gotten himself in a real big mess, and he was looking at the previous M's on the wall, almost like you're in a church or in a Hall of Fame or somewhere. He was thinking about his predecessors.
Right.
But that was really well done, and Judi Dench was just in front because she was his immediate predecessor. But on the side wall, they showed, was it Robert Brown or something? Robert
Brown, the M from License to Kill.
Yeah, they showed him on the side wall. It wasn't a main focus thing, but you could see him up there, and that was a nice...
Yeah, I think that was very nice.
But there was a painting in M's office, that jumped ahead of it. There was a painting in M's office, Mark.
Of who?
It's not a person.
It's not a person. Humor me. I missed it. I missed it.
The character M in the first movies, actually, Ian Fleming's boss was an admiral, a naval admiral. Ian Fleming was a commander in the Navy.
Yes.
And his M was modeled after his boss. I forgot his name, but he was in the Navy.
Yes.
And so when they made the first M for the movie, they figured this guy had a naval background.
Yes.
So what kind of paintings would they put on the wall in his office?
Some naval paintings.
Right, naval paintings.
Right.
Ships.
Right.
when they did Dr. No, the first time he goes to his office, you see these pictures of ships on the wall. And in this movie, there was a painting of a ship behind him. So they've harkened back to that, or a reference back, or Easter egg, what you call it. So that's a reference back to the very, very earliest Bond movies. There's still a picture of a ship on the wall in M's office.
Yes.
He talks about the desk. Great. There's speaking of ships, okay, I'm going to jump ahead a bit. There's another James Bond movie where he goes into an island, and the actual island was an island that's in the Japan archipelago.
Right.
Gunkanjima.
You only live twice.
Actually, that was in there, but
you're talking about the books.
In the Craig movie. Well, actually, there was an island in You Only Live Twice, too, right?
Right.
But when he went to Gunkanjima, Daniel Craig did that in the one, Skyfall.
Right.
He traveled to the island.
See, I only seen that movie once as well, so I could barely remember that.
Yeah, that's a Japanese island. Okay, so it's a little bit reminiscent of that. That was an island that was actually used for coal mining, so it's an old facility, industrial facility. This one, he goes to an island that's off the coast of Japan. It's an old facility turned out to be like a secret
weapons
war,
war room.
They get into this island through a drone that goes under the water, which is okay. We can believe that technology. When they rise up, Q tells them something. They come up out of the water, and Q tells them something. He says, "It looks like you're in a what? A submarine bay." A
submarine bay.
The set they made looks like a submarine. You could put some submarines in there, like a secret underground.
Right,
submarine
and it did.
And it looked like a submarine bay. Now, what is that referencing?
The Spy Who Loved Me?
That's it, number 3. Right.
For
that movie, remember what happened? The big climactic sequence is at the end. There's Stromberg has captured an American submarine and a Russian submarine. I think there's a third submarine.
Yes.
And they're inside this tanker ship.
Right.
And Bond goes in there and releases the crew of the American submarine, and they really get everything released. They blow up everything. Right? There's a big, huge action sequence inside a submarine bay.
Yes.
To make this movie, they built a sound stage in England at where the studio, Pinewood Studios. They built a sound stage. It was a huge sound stage that could fit in 3 submarines. And they named that the I think the Broccoli soundstage, special the 007 soundstage. That's what it. So there's a soundstage at Pinewood Studios named the 007 soundstage, which was built for nobody does it for
the Spy Who Loved Me.
The Spy Who Loved Me movie. So when Q in this movie says it looks like you're in a submarine bay, he didn't have to say that. That didn't fit the plot of this movie very well because this is a chemical weapons research island.
Yes.
But there's a submarine. It looks like you're in a submarine bay. So that was a very, very subtle reference to the Spy Who Loved Me movie and the soundstage that was built for that movie at Pinewood Studios. Okay, I jumped ahead. Sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it. I lost the tracking on just where we're
in M's office, and Bond is super
angry. We gotta get ahead of this. We gotta move out of this now.
Well, Bond, they sort of had to make up a bit because when is Bond going to get on the side of M and start working for M again? And they sort of made up for that at some point, which I'm not remembering well. But they met on a bridge, and M kind of apologized for this. He said, "I've always tried to do what's best for the country."
He apologized and he came clean about what it is. He came clean,
right?
Yeah,
which was nice.
It was a pretty big fuck up.
Yeah, he apologized to him, and so I think Bond says he's going to come back in to help out with this. They
reinstate him as a 00
because he wants to go in and see Blofeld.
Right.
He wants to get in. He's still got some unfinished business with Blofeld.
Right.
So he gets back in there. I think we've talked about that a bit.
And when he does, he accidentally kills him.
Yeah,
unintentionally.
He got a little angry, but he kills him. Okay.
Right. So, all right. So now we got to get ahead of that.
Well, then they try to find the girl who was supposed to the therapist for the girl, Lucifer.
Yes.
And Bond knows where he is, where she is, her hometown.
Yes.
Her childhood home. So he knows where that is. Nobody else knows where that is.
Yes.
But somehow Logan Ash does.
Right.
Logan Ash is coming after him. Well, Logan Ash worked for Lucifer, and Lucifer had been there in the beginning of the movie to kill
her father, which is Mr. White.
Right, okay, so he knows that.
Yes.
Yeah, it ties back to Mr. White. I wasn't sure the girl connection on that.
Yes.
We got to go back and figure that out later. That one was still unclear, but there was no problem in this movie. Bond has a relationship with her. How he got hooked up with her and where she came into the previous movies, we don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And we don't have to deal with that in this movie. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we don't need to waste time with that setup.
You can go back and figure it out later, but it didn't detract from this movie at all.
Yes.
So, again, good screenwriting, good script writing.
Yes.
So he's going to go track down this girl and talk to her, who was his ex-lover, really.
Yes.
So you get up to the house, and you're introduced. A child comes down the stairs.
Right. Yeah, they're talking, and he's starting to put the moves on his ex, who he broke up with. He's regretting his decision, and
he's really coming clean though. And he handled that emotional scene really well.
Yeah, he handled it well, and he ends it with a kiss. And as he's kissing her, a little girl that's like, could be no more than, 4 years old? How old is she?
5 years.
I think they said 5.
We know it's 5.
They said because it's 5 years later.
5 years later. Right?
She didn't look 5. She looked
a little bit later, older than 5 years. Okay.
She looked younger than 5 years.
Okay,
but
what about 5? Okay.
But we got to believe it's 5 because that's what they said.
She says it's not yours. He says,
that's the first thing. I was like, oh my God, he has a daughter.
Yeah, I thought James. No, he's not going to have one. I believed her.
And they let it simmer for a little while.
He said
they give you 2 minutes to think about. Oh my God, Bond has a daughter running around, and then after about 2 minutes duration of time, she just says, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's not yours."
Yeah, right. I thought that settled it.
Yeah,
he never had a child in the books, and he never had a child in any other movie.
But he did have a child in the books.
No,
Kissy Suzuki.
No, they hinted at that she might have been pregnant at the end.
Yes.
There was a hint about it, but it wasn't very clear.
Right.
And there's no child running around in any stories for sure.
Yes.
As an element in the story.
Yes.
There was never things like that. That was just tacked on at the end. There's a possible future thing here.
So man, we got to start moving this review along.
Okay, right.
So to say the least, she says it's not your daughter. Turns out that it really is.
But
She hasn't been with anybody else.
At that point in the movie, it's okay.
It's okay.
It didn't bother me that that's not her daughter. That's her daughter. Okay, but he's going to still care for her a bit.
Yes.
But he's wondering about the blue eyes.
He's wondering about the blue eyes, right.
Okay, so what, you want to move ahead? Oh, then he finds out that that he got information from her in a very credible way.
Yes.
From opening her father's papers, that there's an island.
Yes.
And somebody's got to find out where it is. It's not hard to do these days with Google. And that Logan Ash is a bad guy, and he's got to find. They're still trying to track him down.
Yes.
Okay, so he's pieced together some of the backstory, and he got the information in an incredible way, and he's uploaded it to his superiors to process and all that, and he finds out that Logan Ash is trying to come after him because the Nomi, the 007, is trying to go after him. After Logan Ash. He's tracking Logan Ash, so why is he going into Norway? So that'll make sense.
Right.
So we're talking about the plot, really. Okay, then all right, he realizes they got to get the hell out of there, and he can't ride in his car because that's recognizable.
It is. Not only is it recognizable, but they're going to be doing some off-roading, potential off-roading.
For the movie, that makes sense to have an off-road vehicle, yeah.
And there's 3 people. What is that, a 2-seater, his car? I'm not sure.
Yeah, right, okay.
It was an Aston Martin that he had in the parking lot.
Right. He left it behind to get in there.
But it could have been a 2-seater. And okay. He has to get the little girl and his girl out.
Okay.
His main squeeze. So yeah.
Good whole sequence there. The two bad cars.
So they get inside of an off-road SUV type vehicle, right. And then
he deals with the 2 pursuers.
Yeah.
Cars. That seemed okay to me. Then we get to the one point in the movie where I thought this is getting over the top.
Well, there was another point. All right, you talk about this first. I'll talk about the second over the top point. Right.
He dealt with those 2 pursuers in the cars, and I can go with that, the way he dealt with them. Then this over the top, suddenly over the ridge comes a fleet of
3 Range Rovers. They jump over
the ridge with motorcycles.
2 motorcycles on the side.
And the helicopter.
That's typical James Bond.
A black helicopter, which looks like a Spectre.
Right. So he's being chased by being chased by a small militia at this point.
My feeling was, okay, we're getting back to where Skyfall got out of control.
Getting back to where Pierce Brosnan got out of control, where he's fighting
got out of control before.
Oh, that's pretty much every James Bond movie ever.
Almost
100 villains on skis
and helicopters. Got almost okay. It's going to go that way. Okay. He dealt with all that stuff really well, really coolly. I thought it wasn't outrageous the way he dealt with all these pursuers.
So I want to cut you off right there. So the other thing, you said it started to become a little bit unbelievable at that point. The villain Cyclops, the guy with the eye that fed information, his eye was kind of like a video camera feed thing. Yeah. I thought that was a little bit cartoonish, but it is what it is. He's one of the new henchmen, this guy with this one glass eye that's a video camera. It's so cartoonish.
Please clarify. He was cartoonish, or the
eye
defect.
His defect was it's like a typical Bond villain. You have to make something wrong with some part of their body.
A physical defect.
A physical
they
defect.
All have something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
One guy has diamonds in his face. The new guy has a fire face or something.
Bionic eye.
One guy's missing an eye.
Okay, all movies.
Who's the Thunderball guy?
Well,
Largo has the eye patch.
Right, he's missing an eye. Okay.
Blofeld is missing an eye. Everybody looks messed up.
So yeah, that's carried on through all the movies. But to me, that wasn't outrageous. They
didn't have any outlandish characters like that inside of the Daniel Craig series. Really,
so I thought that character was not cartoonish.
The character wasn't, but his eye was. Yeah,
maybe having that as an eye, but it didn't. They actually showed an eye like that.
I mean, it had some
in the party in Cuba.
Yeah,
so they went on the desk. And
it had parts. It played parts in the plot, but
these days they're probably developing artificial eyes. It's probably on the development now in some laboratories around the world.
But this is how stupid it is, because only villains get first dibs on those eyes.
Yeah, right.
That's not going to be released to the public. Yeah.
Okay. You could argue that. And also another weird thing was the eye fell out. Right, he picked when he got the
It did fall out.
It fell out, and Bond picked it up off the ground.
Right, right.
So what? The eye fell out, and that didn't bother the guy.
Okay.
All right, but okay.
What comes next? He escapes out of the woods. Bond gets away, but Luther manages to capture the two girls.
Reminiscent of one of the other movies we've already been talking about.
Come on, man.
In a lot of the Bond movies, the villain gets the girl, but this was very much reminiscent of, again, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, the avalanche scene where Blofeld triggers an avalanche. It buries Tracy in Bond, and his henchmen come down and pick up Tracy and get her away, and Bond gets away.
Yes.
So very much reminiscent of that. And they abused that or exploited it in other Bond movies, that the villain has the girl and Bond has to go back and get her. But this one made sense.
Yes.
This guy had a connection to the girl. It wasn't just that he was a Bond girl. He had a special connection to her and wanted to get her for very logical reasons, and her daughter.
Yes.
And then he would exploit the mother-daughter relationship, and he was really a truly bad guy, without
he wasn't completely bad. He was an unethical. He wanted to do things. Oh, man, he was crazy.
He was going to kill a lot of people.
He was going to kill a lot of people, but he was going to kill the right people.
But he was going to put. He was so sadistic. He was going to put this mental anguish on the woman and her daughter.
That was crazy.
And he was going to enjoy
that was wrong.
doing that. He was so sadistic. That's mental anguish. It's not torturing, physical torture. That was,
I mean, it's very clear, black and white, good guys and bad guys.
Yeah.
But
he
then,
didn't seem that bad.
But sometimes you might have good guys that are like chaotic good. Like they want to be so good that they do things through bad, evil means to get their good agendas across. So he's very much like that.
But for this guy to torture a daughter and a mother.
But that was crazy. That was truly villainous.
There was some point in this movie where I can't remember, they showed something that said good and evil, like on a sign. Was that a club? That was a sign. Felix said, can you find some place where we can go and talk and it's a little quiet? And
Bond brings them to a reggae club.
A reggae club that said good and evil on it.
Right.
The title was good and evil. Okay.
It was loud as hell. There were strippers in there.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was funny.
Good and evil. Okay, this. No, wait. It's not good versus evil. It's good and evil.
Good and evil, right.
People have combinations of both.
As does Bond.
It's gray.
Right.
Okay. So the villain, Lucifer, has now captured Bond's love interest and the daughter.
Right.
Which is a little bit of reminiscent of the Taken movies with
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. Now this bad guy's got the woman and daughter. Well, skip ahead now. M says the mission now is, and also, by the way, M is not in the airplane when Bond was going over to the island.
No, he wasn't.
He was on a video feed.
Yes.
The way he should be, speaking from his desk at headquarters.
Yes.
He's not out in the field giving Bond instructions like all these other goofy movies.
Yes, right.
And he says the mission, there's three things to do in this mission. Okay? And one is to destroy Hercules, this virus, the chemical, the biological weapon that's going to wipe out the world. You've got to destroy this weapon, which has been stolen. That's number one mission. Number two, you got to kill this scientist. He didn't say bring him back. He said kill this guy. He's a traitor.
Yes.
And the third thing was get Amanda and her daughter out alive.
Yes. Right?
The other movies where Bond is going to go in and take care of the villain, and his side mission as a personal thing is he wants to get the woman out.
Right.
No, this one, M is saying get the woman and child out. They've been kidnapped. You can believe that. He says nothing about getting the villain here.
Yes.
He doesn't care what happens to him.
Oh, he's probably going to get blown up anyways.
If you have to do away with him to accomplish the mission, okay.
Yes.
But that's not the mission, is to kill him or whatever.
Right.
Okay, so the mission is very clear.
All right. So
I like all this.
Now we're getting really close to the end of the movie. This is when they infiltrate by air. And
air and sea, actually.
They infiltrate by air, but the airplane releases a submersible, I can't even get it out. Submersible vehicle, it's so tongue-tied.
It's a drone, or not a drone.
It's a drone.
Okay, not a drone. A drone has no pilots, right?
It's almost like a submarine, and it goes underwater, and it takes them to their destination.
Believable technology, though.
To the island.
We're in there. He's in the submarine pen.
Right.
And
don't rehash it. You already talked about what you already talked about what he called the island, but what more is there about this island?
He's with a good partner.
Yes. Oh, he's with another double-O.
Reminiscent of Jinx.
Reminiscent of Jinx.
Very reminiscent of Jinx.
She was CIA, but now it's two
somebody
double-O's.
who's at equal level, who's got the same.
I gotta say, it's two double-O's working together. Yeah. Whereas he's never. He has been on a mission with Trevor. I think that was the guy's name in GoldenEye.
Yeah.
006.
Yeah.
But the guy turned evil, so they never really got to work together cooperatively. This is he's working together cooperatively, and the other double-O that he works with doesn't die, so that's good.
And this one, she's got the same martial arts skills that he has. Skills.
And she's younger.
Cleverness. Handles all the weapons. And she gives him his due sometimes. Actually, James gave me the lead to how to find Ash and all that stuff. So she gives him credit, but they've got some conflict between them, which is really nice. They don't just get along well. Okay.
Yes.
That's great. And she comes in there, and now he's got a good teammate. Like he had with Jinx when they went into North Korea.
Yes.
Okay, that was cool. So they're infiltrating this place, and it wasn't outlandish.
Right.
They figured out what's going on. This guy's producing this weapon in mass scale.
At this particular place. So
it's mass scale. So.
Well, that was already determined because they said that you got to destroy it. That was one of the objectives. So
actually, that wasn't the mission. Was they thought it was in a vial or something? They didn't realize it was.
No, that it was a farm. It was a farm.
Yeah, they didn't realize you'd have to use missiles to destroy it.
Right.
So,
and Bond orders that later. He orders the missile strike because he knows that he can't do that by himself.
Here's where I think you've got a good video game basis here when they're infiltrating this enemy structure on the island. Okay.
Yeah.
The way they get.
He says that there should be a whole video game tie-in made about this.
I think they're gonna. That's what the tie-in will be.
Right.
The way he goes in there. It's a shooter game.
Right.
Essentially, in the movie, you're playing a shooter game.
Right.
So, all right, so it's really well done. You get this face-off with Blofeld. Finally, they're... Blofeld...
Lucifer.
Lucifer. I'm sorry.
Lucifer. Right. Blofeld has already been decimated.
Lucifer has got... He lets on to the woman and their daughter that it's an island of poisonous plants, which exactly what... Fleming put in the You Only Live Twice book. Blofeld was running an island with poisonous plants.
That's right.
Western Japan.
That's right.
And that's what they're doing here. And it's not outlandish.
So this was a nod. This was a nod to that book.
It all makes sense in the context of this movie. And
I like just how much that they took from the book to make this.
Mark, it makes me feel like go back and read the book, which I wanted to do anyways. But but to go read that and see after you've seen this movie, to go back and see some of those things.
Yes.
It makes you want to do that. It makes you want to see these other Bond things, or experience the other Bond adventures again.
Yes.
You're kind of going through the movie plot. Okay, so you learn about what the island, why it's bad about it. But in this case, he's gone a step further than just having these poisonous plants. He's learned how to mass produce all this stuff.
Yes.
So he's going to do something to the world. We don't know why he wants to kill off the world. I guess he lets on in this speech with.
He does. He gives a little bit of a monologue. No, exposition. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. He gives some exposition.
But actually, it's dialogue. It's not just him explaining his thing.
Right.
Actually, he's dialoguing with Bond, who admits some of this stuff maybe.
It's kind of it's more or less a God complex, kind of in a way.
But it's not like
he kind of wants to end the world and start it over better.
Yeah.
But he's doing it so wrong. Right.
Right. But that dialogue sequence there is like it's happened in other movies. But it's not.
So Bond fights his way through the island. He kills a bunch of guys. So does the other 00. She relinquishes her 007 title, by the way, to give it back to him. So who knows what the hell her 00 is?
Right. She didn't name her.
She didn't name herself again, but
the way they handled Bond got out of the situation with Blofeld. Again, Lucifer.
But hold on, yeah, we're getting up to this part. They shoot their way through the island. He finally makes his contact with Lucifer. He's inside of a room with 3 armed guards.
Shoot their way to get. Yeah, that's right.
Lucifer has his daughter hostage at gunpoint, I believe. And he tells Bond to drop his weapon. He has a big automatic weapon. He drops that on the floor. He says, "You got something else, a side piece there." He takes the side piece out of his jacket. He puts that on the floor. So he relinquishes control over both his guns. He says, "Now come have a seat at the table in front of me." Bond says,
nobody frisked him.
Nobody frisked him.
Nobody frisked Bond.
Yeah, you put down 2 weapons. You think that's all he has, but that's...
Okay.
That's assumption number 1.
Some people will rap on that and
bad guys. Remember this: if you're a villain, don't make assumptions.
Other Bond movies, they frisked him pretty well.
Right.
Okay. So
all right. So he sits at the table. They're dialoguing back.
Really good confrontation with Lucifer and Bond there. And
they're talking about their agendas to one another.
And they get closer to Bond's face than we've ever seen. And the closest they got in this movie was right then. They came very close to see what he was saying. So we've got to go back at some point and see what he's saying.
Yes.
Because that was really critical. And he's talking about, I can't remember exactly, but why Lucifer's plan was not good. And it wasn't the usual cliched sort of things that Bond talks about. There was some. But
it doesn't matter. Lucifer,
gray area.
Lucifer doesn't want to hear this stuff. Come on, beg for your life.
And he pulls out a Bond comes in and he gives him a choice.
Yeah,
that's what he gives. He gives Bond a choice. What is it?
He says you can leave here with your daughter, but
Madeline stays.
He says Madeline has to stay. That's the deal. And
yeah, you can stay. You can stay alive. Take the daughter out.
And what does he do? He begs for his life.
He says, "I'm sorry. I apologize to you." You know, he got down and put his head down. Now he's wanted begging for his life. He apologized.
What did he apologize for?
You know,
it becomes gray. Yeah,
it becomes a little gray. But
it's not gray. It's not gray. It's not gray. It's just I don't remember. Yeah,
he said something that really hurt the guy. It was a long exchange, so I can't remember all the details right now. I'm sorry, but he said something that really hurt him.
Yes,
hurt his pride or whatever, and so he's going to apologize. He's going to bow down to him in a very Japanese way on the tatami floor.
Right.
And then and then the part that I liked, because he's got this watch. And a couple times in the movie, you thought he's going to do something with a watch in the way that Roger Moore did twice.
This is the only gadget that he kind of truly has inside the movie. It's a watch with a low EMP field. When you activate it, it's going to disrupt all electrical anything that's inside the vicinity.
And it's looking like they
and he has the watch on his wrist, the Seamaster, and when he's bowing down, it's like a complete close up of him bowing on the ground.
They pan over it.
They pan over it,
and you think
they show the watch like maybe he's going to turn the watch and
it's going to pull away something from Lucifer,
or maybe other rooms or explode or something.
He's going to get himself out of this fix with a gadget again.
With a gadget,
going back to Roger Moore days.
You think it's going to happen, but it doesn't happen.
No.
What does he do?
The camera keeps sliding past the watch. So you got suspense again. This is good. It doesn't happen in many Bond movies. Got suspense. And he pulls out, I guess it's his service
pistol.
He pulls out his
where does he
keep it?
Where does he keep it?
It seemed to be buried under his sweater or something.
Right.
Usually that's under his arm, but he had a sort of sweater on.
He had a big sweater.
Possibly in his belt, but he had his Walther PPK on.
He pulls it out and he shoots all 3 of the armed guards inside the room.
2 guards in front of him
and 1 behind.
I don't see how I got to see.
He was quick.
How did he get the guy in the back?
He got him. Okay. He was quick.
Okay, he nailed all those guys, and then Lucifer disappeared.
There was
got 3 shots.
There was a trap door on the floor, and he escaped through that. So
he wasn't going to put a bullet in.
And his daughter, he wasn't going to try to make that shot. It's too risky. So he gets away. Then it comes point in time where
Lucifer's escaping, and he's got to.
Is this the point in time where he's got
to find the daughter, and he runs into.
What does he run into?
Amanda has since escaped.
Yes,
she's escaped her imprisonment with the Cyclops guy, and she's running loose around there. He runs to either her first. I think he gets her
When
first.
comes the part where Bond himself orders the strike on the place?
He gets back with Nomi, the other 00.
Yes.
And they
discover that the farm.
They learned that at the beginning.
Right.
He said, we don't have enough to blow this up. He says, I know, but they don't know that.
So then he phones it in.
She gives over the detonator.
Right.
Remote detonator. She gives that to him. So they're back together again. And she says, take Amanda and the daughter out. Get them to safety. They sort of run into each other outside somewhere.
Yes.
And then...
Bond loses communication with Q and base for a little while just because he's so deep.
Before he got into
he's so deep inside of this thing, but once he gets up to like a frequency level, he comes back into communication with Q again.
Back in communication again.
Once they get back in communication, he phones in a call. He says, "This is too much for me to destroy. I got to make a strike." And M says he's not doing it. He's like, "Well, the hell with what he wants to do. He needs to do it." He's like,
M calls a strike.
Yeah, it's not really an option anymore.
They're both
Bond
doing the right thing for their country.
Bond tells him he needs to do it.
They've always done the right thing for their country. They're giving their lives for their country. At this point, they're doing the same again.
All right, he phones it in.
Yeah,
and there's a given time limit that he has to escape.
But he's talking with Q, and Q says you need to open these ports, these missile ports, because
the silo.
Otherwise, we can't get in.
You have to open the silos.
Can't explode anything. So you got which is reminiscent of another movie, You Only Live Twice again.
Yes.
Where to get Bond's forces inside the volcano, he's got to figure out a way to open up the port at the top. So he does that. He figures that out, and
well, once he calls that in, it pretty much puts a time limit on everything, in which everybody got to get the hell out of there.
Bond movies often have time limits at the end. They add suspense, and this one was really well done. It's not just a bomb counting down to blow off like that. This one makes sense.
He manages to open up he opens up the silos so that the missiles can get in. And then on his escape out of the place, it turns out that somebody manages to undo the switch that he had opened, and they close the silos again. So then at this point in time, he must double back to the control room so that he can open it once more. And at that point in time is when
he is still alive.
He comes into contact with Lucifer at that time.
What did you think about the way he dispatched Lucifer, Mark?
He pretty much shot him. He disarmed him.
Versus the way you would expect him to do it, or what happened in other Bond movies.
I gotta get to it. He gets into a little bit of a confrontation with Lucifer. Lucifer manages to fire off 3 shots into Bond, I believe. He gets him 3 times. But still, they do a little bit of fisticuff combats. And Bond disarms the guy. I think he
literally disarms him.
He literally disarms him. He breaks his arm. After he breaks the arm, he picks up the gun. He shoots the guy in cold blood. But it wasn't really cold blood because the guy tried to kill him. But
well, like a hitman.
The
guy was unarmed. He was
lying down. Was unarmed. He shoots him dead.
Boom.
And
the way Bond has dispatched villains in other movies was a lot more dramatic.
Yes.
I thought he's going to go back up, pull a lever, open up the missile hatch because he was lying in the pool, and he'll drop down into the acid bath.
Right.
That would have been the way they ended other Bond movies. The villain gets
dropped into
in his own.
Yeah.
That's the way Dr. No ended.
The guy looked like his face was already burnt off by acid.
That's the way Dr. No ended. He punched him and he fell into a radioactive pool.
Yes.
I thought they were going to do that. No, he pops him twice.
All right, we're getting close to the end of the movie. We got to start wrapping this thing up. We've been talking for like an hour now.
Right. Because I kind of don't want to tell the ending.
We got to tell. Come on, this is all spoilers. If somebody's been looking at it for an hour, they might as well just see what the hell we're going to say.
When he said goodbye to the girl, I started crying. He said, I love you too.
All right.
He said goodbye to his daughter.
He kills the guy. He opens up the thing again, and the missiles are already on their way. He has no time.
Going back before that, he said goodbye. I think he put them in the boat, or maybe it was early. He said
he did put them in a boat.
She said, "I love you" to the daughter, and he said, "I love you too." He said to the.
He said that over the walkie-talkie. But I'm talking
about earlier in the movie.
He may have said it earlier in the movie as well.
They were all together. They were not talking on walkie-talkies. He said, "I love you too." Bond has never said that. I don't think there's any movie when Bond has said, "I love you."
He said that to his girl. I think that was. I really
Her
think that was
Secret
over the
Service.
walkie-talkie that he said.
He did that say it later, but I'm talking
Right.
about earlier.
Okay.
And on Her Majesty's Secret Service, I'm not even sure he said, "I love you."
Yes.
But he did say that to the little girl in this one. I love you.
He likes On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I think the romance in that was not as good as this. I think that relationship was laughable in that
for
movie.
the time, I think they did it really well. But compared to this now, things have gotten a lot better. Yeah.
It was a real developed relationship.
He said that to a 5-year-old girl in this movie.
Yes.
I love you. And he realized, he knew he was a daddy then.
Yes.
And he said that, and I started crying at that. The mommy said to the girl, "I love you."
Well, we're going to have to watch this again to determine at what point in time did this.
Yeah, that happened earlier. Okay, but later they did say, he said over the walkie-talkie to Amanda.
Yes.
He said that. Yeah.
Yes.
But he said this earlier to the girl. And you don't hear James Bond saying, "I love you" to a 5-year-old girl.
Yes.
We've never heard it before. Okay, now we have.
Oh, of course he would if it's his daughter. But
I started to cry.
Right. So did I.
It's a James Bond movie.
Right.
I'm crying in a James Bond movie.
Right.
And it's not the last scene like on Her Majesty's Secret Service. I'm crying, during the movie, the action.
Right.
Said, "I love you" to the girl. It was believable. It was okay. Go ahead, jump ahead, Mark. We
got to do this even before the damn battery dies, man. He calls in the missile strike.
That's already been called in. He just knocked off Lucifer.
He's
got to go open the
he opens the thing, but he's already at the point of no return. He opens this, he's done for. He could leave it closed.
He still has to fight to get away.
Well, hold on. We're missing a key element here. This is pretty important. One thing is he could leave it closed. The missiles would go off, and he would survive. He would survive it, but there's really no point in having him survive.
He didn't do his duty.
He's infected with this thing. He's infected with a new...
A little bit confusing on that.
No, we got to go back to the fight. When he was fighting Lucifer, Lucifer broke a vial inside of some water that they were fighting in, and Bond was cut, and he got infected. Anytime that he would kiss anybody that he loves, they would become infected and they would die.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to have a life like that.
Okay, I understood that.
Right.
He'd have to spend the rest of his life like Blofeld, not close to anybody.
Not close to anybody. Right.
That little that insurance policy that Lucifer said he had.
Right.
He cut. That's what Bond. And he rubbed his face and he goes, "Okay, I've got it." Okay.
The guy could have been lying, but probably not.
Okay. All right. I didn't get that. I didn't get what he was talking about then, but now I do.
Right. So
the rest of his life, if he got close to anybody,
they would die.
They would die.
They would die.
He would kill anybody he got close to.
So, what is the purpose of living if you're just going to kill the ones that you love?
I wasn't figuring. I was trying to think. There's something I couldn't figure it out. Then
he made the judgment call. This is it for me. He pulls that lever. He opens up the 3 silos. The missiles, they're on their way. They come. He gets that last goodbye in on the walkie-talkies, and man, that was it. That was all she wrote.
He said, "I love you."
Right.
What did he say to the daughter? I don't know if
I think he may have said the same thing.
"I love you." Now.
Yeah, right. He gets out what he needs to say. Right. Right.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, man.
I mean, Mike, you see, when you're a kid, you see James Bond movies, you want to be like James Bond.
Yeah.
And then they got too ridiculous. But this is the James Bond you want to be like. If something happens like this in your life, you're gonna end up sacrificing your life to help other people. And then,
right.
That he said, "I love you" to the little girl. it wasn't just a one-off thing. He said,
well, I wasn't expecting.
He really did love Madeline.
Right, he did.
And the girl.
Well, why wouldn't he love his little girl? You knew that was a given that was coming. That I love you was coming. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I'm going to put that in, not unless you want it in there.
Put it in there.
All right, all right.
I know how many other people doing these reaction videos are going to be able.
Man, I was weeping.
I'm going to cry.
I was weeping at the end of this.
I heard you crying, and you heard me crying.
Right.
And after it was over, I cried even more.
Some more. Yeah. Right.
And
well, all right. We got to get to the eulogy.
I think I cry again by now. I didn't think I cried again.
We got to get to the. You can say it better than me.
I didn't know that. He knew it was the end. And
he knew it was the end.
Close to anybody.
Right.
I didn't catch that well enough. Okay.
Because otherwise, just save yourself. But there's no purpose. There's no purpose in that. Okay. Right.
Okay.
Right. They show it. He's gone. There's no escaping that. Right.
You know, Mark, they did this even better than Ian Fleming.
Right.
Better than Die Hard. Better than
I don't know what
better than the Taken movies. Better than Jason Bourne. They've topped them all.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about it as a movie.
Yeah. What else can you compare it to? Right.
You want to be like Bond, and he knew he couldn't go back to Amanda. She would die. His daughter would die.
Yes.
And he couldn't do that. He had to give himself up. He had to sacrifice himself so that they could go on. I mean, this is a Bond movie that really shows love, true love. He sacrificed himself so they can live.
If it was going to happen, I'm glad that this was the movie. I mean, it seems like it was just time to wrap it up. 25 movies. I mean,
yeah. If that's the end, then that's if Eon is going out of business. They're disbanding. There won't be any more Bond movies. Okay. He doesn't return. Okay. I thought, okay. And now what you said just makes that hit home even more. Clarify that, dude. I didn't catch in the movie. That's why he was doing it. But if I had known that, I would have been crying even longer.
But man, yeah, it was a nice wrap up with the bow tie on top and everything, man. It was packaged beautifully.
Yeah, you can put this in. You can put them in.
But I'm running out. I'm running out, man. Okay. Running out of some battery.
What else you want to put in there?
You got to tell them about the eulogy. I'm telling you, you got to tell them about the eulogy.
When they go in the office, at M's office at the end, he brings everybody in, and he's got Moneypenny Tanner, Nomi, who's still. And
Moneypenny.
And I thought, no, maybe Nomi becomes a new 007.
And Q, right.
Q was in there. Okay, part of the characters. There was nothing corny about any of those characters in this movie, and you can understand why they'd be in the office. And M says, I want to read you something. And he reads a passage that says, life is to live, not just exist, and I want to use my time. And that's
and where did that come from?
Yeah, Mark, those are Fleming's words. They came out of possibly the obituary that's in... You Only Live Twice book. They came out of the book. So they ended the movie by going back to the books like they've said so many times. We're going back to the books. They ended that. That was in one of the books. And I think it was You Only Live Twice. And Bond used his time well. Yeah. And
he definitely did. And
they didn't dwell on that. The whole ending scene. They didn't dwell on
that. That was the final scene.
That's all that had to be said, and then
everybody, he poured out a glass for everybody, and Bond had his left out on the table. It was very ceremonial.
They toasted him. It wasn't the final one.
They toasted him, and they walked out, and they left the glass in the room.
That wasn't the end.
What happened after that?
They toasted him. He said, "Let's get back to work."
The drive.
The drive. Okay, you can't leave you on such a downer. And
they were. The wife was driving.
Madeline. It was never his wife.
It was never his wife, but a slip of the tongue.
And
she's driving with the daughter.
Well, she's lied to the daughter her whole life.
Right.
But never told him who her daddy was.
Well, hold on. Even before we get to that, they're driving inside of, you can only assume the Alps or something like that. And
possibly Italy. It was back
possibly
like Italy again.
Right.
But they're driving on a curvy road again, and with the daughter, and she says, "I'm going to tell you about.
I'm going to tell you a story.
I'm going to tell you a story about a man.
About a man, yeah.
A man. His name is
Bond.
James Bond.
Right. Oh man, it was sweet.
So,
and at that point in time, they started playing all the time in the world by Louis Armstrong. The original track. The original track.
They played the original track. Louis
right.
Armstrong singing that. Yeah.
And that took us into the credits, and that was all swell.
Later in the credits, they played a bit of James Bond theme.
A more up-tempo one,
right,
more contemporary
the theme.
Right.
They didn't just rehash the old, bring back the old track.
Finally, we get to the end. All the credits have rolled up the screen at this point in time. The final thing that comes up, it shows the logo. It says, "No Time to Die."
Right.
And then fades into the screen. It says 007.
It's in the logo, and it's
in the logo.
In the poster.
"No Time to Die" fades out, and 007 stays for a little while. And
a fraction of a second.
A fraction of a second, it goes out.
That wasn't intended. I almost thought maybe that wasn't intended. I'm not sure, but it looks like 007 is still alive. Well, so, it's just a number, as he said.
It's just a number. Okay, it could be somebody else.
It's going to be assigned to somebody else.
Okay, so then the number fades out after the title of the movie fades out. And then, as soon as the title of the movie fades out and the number fades out, then you see on the screen, it says James Bond will return. And it specifically says James Bond.
It says James Bond will return. Okay. Like all the old ones that made you
like
feel
all
so
the old
good
ones.
that there'll be another movie to entertain us later. It's like that, but now this time I'm thinking...
And what I don't know what to make of it. Like,
right.
is it him? Is it him or is it somebody else?
Is it a hologram like Obi-Wan Kenobi coming back in Star Wars?
Do they reboot it at this point again and start over and
that would
just reboot it from scratch and just do the 13 books and then just end it with a young actor or
Mark?
Who is the next James Bond?
Mark, if I had to complain about this movie, it would be that they showed that. It might have been a better movie if they didn't. If they
didn't give you some type of hope.
If they didn't say James Bond will return,
right?
Because yes, you want him to return. He's returned in so many movies, but if this wrapped it up and James Bond doesn't return, okay, I can live with that.
Right.
It was so good.
Oh man, it was good. It was definitely.
So that's
good.
A bit of a mystery, and I'm not sure if that's a weakness or not.
Not sure if it's a weakness or not. We are not going to know.
Hopefully they've got a plan.
Hopefully they got a plan. They said they're giving all the 2022 arrests. They're not even going to bother looking for a new James Bond. This is like, it's going to be a grace period of whatever.
When they showed that little 007 that stayed on there a fraction of a second longer than the movie title at the very end, I thought, okay. They reassign it to. They've already reassigned it to her, the new number back to her in the movie at Nomi because it's just a number. They said a couple times in the movie, so it's just a number. Okay, she could be the next. Okay, I'm okay with the next 007 movie. There's no more James Bond, but there's a 007
movie. You're
I'm okay with that. They want to continue the series that way. Okay, I thought that's what it's going to be, but then they put this up there: James Bond will return. So
yes,
who knows what that means, but. If my one complaint about the movie would be possibly that.
And I didn't like the guy with the glass eye, but
okay,
let's not get on that. I mean, it's a very minute thing.
But until you mentioned it didn't bother me.
It had issues, but I mean, there were very minute issues that are not detractors of the story in any kind of way.
Didn't bother me in the movie. I didn't even catch it. Oh, and I love the way he dealt with him at the end. The way he dealt with the guy with using the watch. He used that in a good way.
We didn't even mention that.
Yeah, because he jumped ahead. Yeah,
he had to fight this guy battling through the compound, and the watch that had the EMP inside of it because that guy had a video camera eye. He activated the watch, and the guy's eye just blew up in his head.
Kind of reminiscent of the train fight
with Grant.
With Red Grant.
But his eye didn't
got him in a
blow
chokehold.
Right.
And he actually uses a watch.
Right.
The guy, it was a different watch, but the watch was in there. So it was kind of reminiscent of that, but not exactly right, the way he dealt with that guy. But that was a realistic way to do it. There was nothing corny about it. You know, the watch has that capability,
right?
And there's metal in the eye, so
right.
It made sense. And also, Bond used his brain to get out of that situation, not just the gadget.
Yes.
So that was a really well done. I think I gave a thumbs up from the screen when they did that.
Throughout the movie, there was just so many Easter eggs and so many callbacks to other films, and I can't remember them all off the top of head. I mean, we spoke about as much as we could recollect throughout this review.
Mark, I've dreamed again, and I didn't think I'd be crying doing a reation video. I've never done these before. I didn't think I'd be crying doing a reaction.
Well, listen, I'm new to reaction videos as well, but right. I can't wait to go back and look at this.
All right. This is better.
Yeah, we got
doing this is better than I thought, Mark. This reaction video, much better than I thought. Okay, I'm satisfied.
All right, but definitely we got to wrap this thing up. I mean, we've been talking for way over an hour at this point in time. I'm not even sure if the battery's going to last this much longer.
Okay,
we got to give it final thoughts.
Kind of repeating what I said in the non-spoiler one. This is a 5-star movie, not just as a 5-star James Bond, but in any sort of action movie comparing to. I give it 5 stars so far. Only a couple hours out. I might think about it more later. But right now I'm going to say it's a 5-star movie. I'm going to pay money to go see it again in the movie theater. So thank these guys for bringing this out for us. And I've never cried that much in any kind of movie, during a movie or after.
I cry at almost every movie I see. I'm a lost cause. Don't worry about me.
But definitely go out to see it before you hear too much about it from anybody else.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's already it's too late for you. It's too late if you already watched it this far.
Yeah.
I mean, we just gave an hour and 30 minutes commentary. That's like a movie in and of itself. Oh my goodness.
On Your Majesty's Secret Service has made me cry when I've seen it repeated times, and this probably will happen again. It's a very rare,
we can butt heads on more James Bond movies in the future, but we gotta end this commentary here.
I'm not sure. I'm not ready yet to see him die again.
Right.
I'll go back and see the movie again, but I'm not ready to see him die again. I want to go home and kiss my children.
All right.
And my wife.
Okay. Don't say no more, man. Yeah. That's it. That's it. That's a good place to end it.
Siskel Neighbor did it to 2 thumbs up from me.
He's doing 2 thumbs for one person, so if I was to put mine, it would be 4. So we're kind of cheating here.
Okay.
Anyways, salute to you wherever you may be out in the world, gentlemen. And as always, you guys know
ladies will like this movie.
It's for everybody.
Because the women are treated well in this movie. We didn't even talk about the Cuban woman. The kick-ass Cuban woman who...
There's a kick-ass Cuban woman. She's CIA? I don't know who she is.
She has to be CIA because the English aren't down there yet. They don't know that Bond's doing this mission.
But she has a Spanish accent. I don't know who she is.
She's CIA,
but
I think.
She's somebody.
Oh, no, they did have a Brit in there because the other 00 was down there in action. She did really well, and he didn't bed her, and they interacted well together. And
right. He didn't bed anybody except for
She reminded me of a good friend.
But we got to end it. Okay. We got to end it. Don't...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just you said something good. Just cut it off right there.
It's enough.
All right. You beating a dead horse, man.
Go ahead, Mark. Your last comment.
All right. It's it. We're cutting this video off. Salute to you wherever you may be out in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen. It's a men's lifestyle channel I'm putting this on. But if you're a woman and you're looking at it, you will enjoy it too. That's the end of it. All right. All right. Here we go.
Yeah. We're still not even 24 hours. We're just 24 hours after seeing the movie, right? But had a little bit of sleep and thought about a few things. I'm going to downgrade my rating from a 5 to a 4, which is still good. And because I started thinking more, and some little plot questions came up, and maybe you can help me figure these out.
Okay, I'll try to the best of my ability.
And the first one was one thing you mentioned yesterday was the Cyclops guy, the henchman guy. At first was working for Spectre when he's trying to kill Bond, but then he flips allegiance over to the guy who tries to kill everybody in Spectre. And that was never shown how or when or why he flipped allegiance. And it happened. We only saw that he put the poison gas into the canister to release it into the party.
Yes.
So that he was killing the Spectre people. So it happened before then, but we don't know how or when, why. How, when, or why.
at the time that he made his debut in Italy, which was 5 years before, at that time, yes, he was Spectre. Because he was the villain that was shooting at the car with the shotgun.
He was trying to kill Bond.
He was trying to kill Bond.
And he was working for Spectre.
And he was working for
Bond
Spectre.
was still an active agent at that point.
Yeah, it baffles me with these criminals inside of the Bond world, so to speak. Like Jaws, he was like a guy with no master, and he would just jump from villain to villain to villain. And
yeah, well, in this movie, this happened really fast, and you didn't catch until after the movie finished.
It's time to retire sometime when all your bosses keep getting killed. I mean, what does that tell you?
So we don't know why.
Maybe it's not time to be a criminal anymore.
But
right.
when he gassed the Spectre people at the party, he was already working for Lucifer.
Yes.
And then the scientist was also at that point working for Lucifer.
Yes.
So why did the scientist do this USB switching thing with his sock? He dropped one on the floor and pulled another one out of his sock and plugged it in.
Why did he do that? Because
they
why
were both
did he
on the
do
same
that?
team.
They were on the same team. I
So
was under the impression in the beginning of the movie and midway through the movie that this guy is a double agent and he's trying to get a message out to MI6, or he's trying to call for help, and he stole that USB stick so that he can defect or something like that.
That made sense. But now he's with the guy who's his new teammate who's taking care of him.
Yes.
The Cyclops eye guy.
Yes.
And he's pulling this secretive switch of the USB. But so what?
There was no need for that.
No need for it. Maybe they did that scene and forgot to cut it out of the movie.
I would have just cut that. Yeah, completely. I would have cut that.
Adds confusion. We didn't need that.
Yes.
So that was one little thing. Maybe they just forgot to cut it. And then jumping ahead, we're on the island, and he's got this Hercules, I guess it's virus.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how he's supposed to deliver it around the world. They showed a simulation of what happens when everything takes hold and people will start dying everywhere.
Yes.
I wasn't sure how he's supposed to deliver it. But
the delivery system.
They said missiles, and they were sent by missiles, but there were no missiles shown. They had missile. They had
missile
ports,
silos.
Yeah. But they didn't show any missiles or anything.
Right.
So that was a little bit hazy. It didn't matter in the movie that much, but you wondered a little bit later. Going back to On Her Majesty's Secret Service, he's going to deliver his biologic weapon with all these beautiful girls. He had his delivery system set up. But this one, there was no delivery system shown.
Yes.
They were just making the stuff at the farm.
Right.
So, all right. That was a question that came up later. I was a little bit confused about M's ability to authorize missile strikes.
Right. I was confused about that too. He's not the military.
No, he's intelligence,
He's
right?
intelligence.
Maybe he has some authority that stretches to cover intelligence sort of issues, and he could do it. But that's the Navy shooting off missiles. That seems like a different guy,
right?
And they had some talk about talking to the Prime Minister and just communications, but I wasn't clear
if he got authorization and we missed that. But if that was in the film, then maybe okay, it might be forgiven. But
a lot was happening.
But to say the least, it's like the head of the CIA,
right,
ordering a missile strike on someone,
right.
Right.
So that was a little bit confusing afterwards. How could he do that? Now, also, a little bit before he ordered the missile strikes, Q noticed that a couple of ships are approaching. We got some suspicious activity in the area, approaching the island. And he warned Bond that these ships are approaching. And
it could be Russia or Japan or someone else.
They didn't really say.
Right.
I thought they might be coming to take... to help Lucifer escape.
Yes.
But they never clarified what happened with the ships. They did say that Russia, Japan, and was it South Korea or China or somebody are concerned about the UK being in the area. Okay, that is very reasonable.
Yes.
But they didn't say what these ships are.
Yes.
Who the ships are and whatever happened to them. So all these things kind of left a little bit of confusion. And then the very final thing, which is not in the plot of the movie, but the James Bond will return, led to a lot more confusion. They probably would have been better if they just did not put that in there.
Yes.
They didn't need to put that in there for us to enjoy this movie. Of course, we all want him to return, but we just saw that he died. And
yes.
So if that's the way it ends, okay. In a couple years, if another Bond movie comes out, we'll deal with that then. But that caused a little more confusion at the end.
And I have speculations, and I have my own ideas about. I feel like they should just reboot it again and just do all the books on film with a fresh actor that's nice and young, then it could be James Bond, but it won't be a continuity or continuation of this that just ended. But James Bond could return in that way. But if it's supposed to be the Daniel Craig character of some sort, just played by a new actor, that's going to be really confusing. We saw him pretty much explode on screen. The missile hit
he's
right
finished,
in front of his
right.
face. Yeah.
Now there is another thing they could do. There's a gap. This movie there's two gaps really. One from the Amanda's childhood until she becomes an adult, when she's hooked up with James in Italy. The second gap is right from Italy to London. There's a 5-year gap, they say. And during that 5 years, Bond retires, and somewhere in there he gets Blofeld into prison.
Blofeld was already in prison.
Not from what movie though? I don't remember.
From the previous movie, the guy got he was
the movie Spectre.
Yeah,
he was caught.
He got apprehended at the end of the movie. He was in a helicopter crash that destroyed his face. He was surrounded by authorities and the military, SWAT team on all sides.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot. I only saw that once, and I forgot about that. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay, so forget that. But
and I believe it was an inspector that Madeline was introduced as the daughter of Mr. White.
I don't remember when that happened.
Right.
Okay.
It happened. Trust me.
Okay.
It
All right.
happened.
Then that's okay.
You got to watch it again.
But I still, because of these little plot questions, I downgraded from a 5-star to a 4-star today. But that still means it's an excellent movie.
It's still an excellent movie.
Most important, all those things, all those little points I just mentioned, did not detract at all from the emotional impact that this movie has.
Yes.
So it gets a real solid 4 stars.
I agree with it being a 4-star movie. I'm still, I know it's only one viewing for me, but I'm still going with Casino Royale as being my #1. Maybe you still have your favorite, but
it's hard to assess all the other ones after this. They all look sort of trite in a way. But that's a different video with the. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Something else is Bond.
Maybe your favorite might be this one or that one. What's the best? I don't know. That's difficult to say now.
This Bond is completely unlike the other Bonds. So it's the character, but it's not really the same character.
It's unlike all the other Bonds in the way that On Her Majesty's Secret Service was unlike all its predecessors. It's sort of accomplished the same thing. It's come out with something very different from what's come before.
Well, what was the different aspect about that?
Well, in these both movies, one thing in common is important people died at the end.
Yes.
In the first one, his bride died. In this one, he died.
Yes.
And the other movies never ended like that.
Right.
They all ended upbeat endings. This was a downbeat ending.
Right.
And these are the only two in the whole genre that are downbeat.
Yes.
So the precedent was On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which are referenced a lot in this one, for a different type of ending. But this sort of ends his whole reign as this Bond.
Right.
Okay.
So
speaking of references, this leads me into my next point, Mark, because we talked yesterday about these different references, and today I thought, references they're fun to see, they make you feel good, but they don't guarantee a good movie.
Yes.
And they might not even help the story move along. There's some things they do help the story, especially when he's referencing things in his own movies, in the Craig movies.
No, I think those references are left there I think that's strictly for the fans.
No, it's fun to see them, but it doesn't mean it's a good. But I enjoyed watching those yesterday and pointing them out and putting my thumbs up in the theater. Yes. But it doesn't mean it's a good movie.
Right.
But we noticed that they had one for Dr. No, which sort of covers the Connery era. If they were looking at doing something from every different actor who played Bond, they had something from Connery with the Dr. No opening title reference, and they obviously Lazenby with so many things that came from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. They had Robert Browning, who was the M. They had his
picture on the wall.
Portrait on the wall.
But you don't need to rehash that too much. We have that inside the original.
Yeah, so we have those in there. Okay, then I was wondering, okay, well, what do they have for Sean Connery, Never Say Never Again?
Nothing.
Well, they do though.
Do they? Tell me.
He's retired.
Oh, he's retired. So it's a
in both cases,
yes.
they were retired and called back to duty.
But I don't think they were taken after that movie in any type of way.
But they did. You could. Call
it's a coincidence.
Maybe it's a coincidence. But
I don't think it's.
Okay. And how about now Brosnan? Now a little more seriously, Brosnan. The Brosnan movies. What did they reference from those movies? Maybe possibly the Jinx thing with the.
Oh, with the other agent.
Yeah.
But one was CIA and this one is also a 00.
But the way they both went into the enemy lair at the end together as teammates to attack.
Yes.
That was a little bit unusual for Bond movies. For him to go in with an equal like that.
He had 006 to go in with him at the beginning of GoldenEye.
At the beginning,
of course, the guy defected, but
yeah, at the beginning. But
he still went in with him. Yes.
But also, he wasn't 006 wasn't a woman.
No.
This case, he went in with a woman who was his equal.
Right.
Not just a sidekick woman who he's dragging along or trying to save.
Yes.
She was an equal partner like Jinx was.
Yes.
The only difference is he didn't bed Naomi, but he did Jinx.
Yes.
So the times have changed. So maybe that was a Brosnan sort of reference.
Right.
Amanda, last night I thought, talking about a reference, this leads to something else. So you said Amanda was
who's Amanda again?
Mr. White's daughter.
Oh, Madeline.
That was Madeline. Okay.
Madeline.
We got the name.
Amanda.
Okay.
Oh man. God. Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr.
Right.
White's daughter. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Mr. White was a crime syndicate chief.
Yes.
Okay. So on Her Majesty's Secret Service, Bond weds a crime syndicate chief's daughter.
Yes.
Oh, and last night I realized then these aren't just references. What they've done is
they consolidated
came up with
many books into one.
The two last books that Fleming completely finished is completely realized. They combined them, and these are This is a new interpretation of those two books.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what this is. It's not it's an original story, but it's heavily influenced and based on what Fleming did in those two books.
Right.
Okay, so those things are not just references; they're actually things that they came out of the books. Okay.
You got anything else there?
Yeah. The last thing is that I can't remember if I said this, but I said it after we did the video last night. That you've heard, all my life I heard people say the guys want to be women want to be with Bond, and guys want to be James Bond.
Yes.
And this movie went beyond all the other Bonds because he was willing to sacrifice himself. He was saving Mallory's. He called him M. He called him Mallory.
Yes.
Personal name, which that didn't come out before. M's career. He saved his career by taking care of this problem that M had really started. And of course, he saved the world. But more than all that, it was.
Well, he's also put in a predicament where he kind of didn't really have a choice, did he? I mean, he had a choice, but it wasn't a really.
Well,
he's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Okay. Yeah. But he sacrificed himself for Madeline and Matilda. But the key thing is, before he was given that predicament.
Yes.
When he was walking outside on a dock or something, I'm not sure where, but he picked up Matilda's dropped doll. Because
he was expecting. He was expecting to bring that back to her.
He intended to bring that to her. So he was thinking about a future with her.
Yes.
It wasn't just that he had no choice and he had to give them up. He was thinking about a future with her. And so he did give himself up so that they could live. So he sacrificed himself for something much bigger than himself, much more than his country. He sacrificed himself. That was love.
Right.
And that went beyond all other bonds. That went beyond all of our bonds. And when he picked up the doll, and when I realized that he's not going to be able to deliver that to his daughter, that made me weep.
Yeah. All right. Anything else there you got written?
That's what I came up with today.
So I guess we're going to wrap it up here because, man, we got this whole interview that's pre-recorded that we got to go into, and that's quite long, and I have to probably edit that down for time reasons. I don't think it's all going to make the cut because I think we were speaking about an hour and 30 minutes on that one.
You're going to cut out what you're saying right now, right?
Well, I got to give an explanation.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, anything else you want to say after a day's rest and
no, I feel like it's a 4-star movie. It had its problems, but not so much detractors. But still, there were problems that kept it from pure perfection. I'm still sticking with Casino Royale, and maybe even Dr. No is a second after that.
But I think there's no 5-star Bonds. This is as good as they get. There's nothing better than this.
Well, we'll have to talk about that and debate that in another video. Why don't you think this is all right? But yeah, all right, we're cutting it there.